my song. Let's sing it. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Come on, it's gonna be fucking awesome. You know the words. It's gonna be fucking awesome. That's insane. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Yeah!
Hello, hello, hello. It is I, Jesse Blaze Snider, and you are listening to Coolest Alive on a glorious Saturday. Well, breaking my rules. Don't usually break the rules. I've got lots of rules about how I do my show. I go about doing my show. One of my rules is that I don't like to have unfocused shows where like I talk about lots of different things. But I've just been very frustrated of late because it's like there's been lots of things to talk about, but there hasn't necessarily been like a particular thing to talk about. You know, and I'm going to kind of focus this show around a couple different topics. I mean, ultimately, I think, you know, the conversation is going to be about some of these Oscars, just the Oscars in general, and you know, just came about, and you know, some of the lowest ratings ever, and they're the Best Picture winner. I literally shot called last year, one battle after another. That movie is truly mid, and that should be a very major. I mean, it's not even mid intellectually; it's terrible. Terrible, and we're going to get into it. But even if you don't have a major problem with the sort of thesis of the film, which I think most people should when they really think about it, and we're going to go over why, because there's so many different reasons why anybody, it doesn't matter what political part of the spectrum you're on or whatever, anybody really paying attention to one battle after another should feel pretty gross about that movie, period. And then if you put that aside, it's a middling film. It is not brilliant by any stretch. This director of One Battle After Another, he's a brilliant director. He's made brilliant films before. This movie, compared to everything else he's ever made, it's like night and day. Those movies are good. This movie's fucking awful. Awful by comparison. And you may be asking yourself, but Jesse, didn't you say that you predicted it was going to win the Oscar? Yes, I did predict it was going to win the Oscar for all the wrong reasons. And it did. So we're going to talk about that today. And, you know, we're going to talk a little bit about the new Spider-Man trailer and really just like a handful of kind of blotter type shit, you know, just a ton of things that have been going on. Because the news cycle has just been really shit lately, just in terms of like how much information is coming out and how much is really happening. You know, Hollywood has really started to move rather slowly. During the week when I'm recommending things, you know, it's like, dudes, I'm sitting on 1,000 great cartoons and great comic books and great films and great albums that I could recommend to you guys tomorrow. But on Saturday, you know, either I do like a deep dive into what's going on in the world of entertainment in some way, shape, or form, which is usually pretty focused. And I just didn't know if I was going to be able to talk for a whole hour about this Oscar thing without repeating myself and ranting. So focusing it, just giving it a little bit more space. Or, you know, what I do is I do a deep dive celebration into something that I love. Like just, I don't know if it was last weekend or 2 weekends ago, I did The Shield, one of my favorite TV series of all time. Great show. Kurt Sutter produced, Michael Chiklis starring, Sean Ryan, creator of the show. Great show. And, you know, in order to do that show, I watched not the whole series again, but I watched like the first 2 seasons and change of The Shield, just until I felt like I was reminded of all the characters I liked and all the things that I liked about the show. So I had enough to go talk about it. But that takes a little while. It took me like 3 weeks or something like that to get caught up that far on The Shield, not even rewatching the entire show, you know, just watching enough so that I could be reminded of like what I loved about it. And I have lists of things that I want to celebrate, you know, fandoms, things like, you know, I've done Godzilla celebrations and trying to think of some of the other celebrations I've done. But I have tons and tons of The Tick. Tons of other celebrations that I want to do of various fandoms and things. I did Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles recently. But every single time I do one of those, for the most part, it constitutes like a few weeks at least of me researching, not so much researching, I should say, reacquainting myself with the entertainment that I love, so that it's fresh in my mind and I can come talk about it. Because sometimes I'll do reviews of things where like, oh, I love this. It's a movie. I haven't seen it in 10 years, but there it is. But honestly, I hate doing that. Even when like I watched something 2 months ago and it's taken me 2 months to get to it because it's been on my list, but other things kept coming in front of it. I'll forget. I won't remember, and I'll literally be like, "Oh man, I wish I could watch." And sometimes, if I know I'm doing it, I'll watch it the night before. I'll watch it again just to remind myself because I'm like, I don't really remember. Watched it a couple months ago now, and I've watched so many other things since that it's really, when you are taking in a lot of entertainment, it is easy to get just sort of like, only the cream rises to the top. Even the cream, because I only recommend cream, so, but even then, like, there's just so much good stuff going on. They do cover each other up. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this week's recommendation list. We had some really great things being talked about. From Dee Snider's original motion picture soundtrack for Strangeland, which I actually happened to be the music supervisor for. I was listed as the music consultant, but basically I was the music soup. I was 17 at the time. Great heavy metal, new metal, industrial metal soundtrack from the late 90s, early 2000s, really, of people who are into that scene. This is considered a gold standard for great stuff from that era of music, and I'm really proud that I had something to do with it and that people still value it as much as they do. If that kind of style of music is you're into, and if you're a fan of Dee Snider's Strangeland or any of that, I definitely talk a little bit longer than I normally do on some of these album episodes because I had a lot of behind the scenes kind of information to give you. On Tuesday, we did the animated show One Punch Man. I love that show. I'm caught up now with season 2. I'd recommend season 2 as well. I'm about to start watching season 3 with my sons this weekend. I'm really excited. I was catching up to them so that we could watch together. Then Wednesday, and just so you know, One Punch Man, the designs, it doesn't look great. A lot of people haven't gotten into One Punch Man because they don't like the designs of the characters. Honestly, the designs not being good are part of the charm and part of the intellectual process that is of the world being created by One Punch Man, which is a rather superficial world. And he is sort of frustratingly simple in a very complexly superficial world. I highly recommend One Punch Man. I think it is hysterical, and at the same time, it has a lot of deep meaning to offer within the context of what it does. As I was explaining to Digger yesterday, intellectually, one of the main things that One Punch Man does is it just removes the fights. There is no fight when your guy has one punch and that's it, right? So he has to come up with all these other clever ways to engage you. And so often it's intellectual in wonderful ways. So often it's letting a character demonstrate, his power in various, flourishing kind of moves that look incredible, while One Punch Man is just watching going, very nice, and then eventually, bang, he's done. And it probably sounds like, wow, is that going to be good? It really is. It really is. It's very surprising. It's so different because of this main convention of storytelling not being honored the way it normally is. So, highly recommend that. Then Wednesday, we were talking about The Other Dead, which if you like zombie comic books, or zombie movies, zombie anything, The Other Dead is a zombie animal comic book from my buddy Digger Mesh, who's known for making toys. But this book is great. It's just such a great, simple concept. What if zombies were animals, not humans? And what if the humans couldn't get it? They were just being attacked by all these vicious zombie animals on planet Earth. Super, super fun. The Other Dead, which came out from IDW, I don't know, 6 years ago now. Worth checking out. And then live action, I watched The Phoenician Scheme this past week, Wes Anderson's latest, and I love that. I really like Benicio del Toro. And I don't know, I almost felt like I'd never seen a movie where it was just like I felt his presence so clearly. It's almost like he's got ADHD in some of his movies that like I've seen him in, where like he's like avoiding eye contact with the audience, like he's just kind of snaking his way through this performance. And I've always enjoyed him, but really felt like somebody finally pinned him to the wall, and I got like the greatest performance out of him. I mean, like if somebody should have won a great performance thing, I feel like it was him this year. The Oscar to Benicio del Toro for The Phoenician Scheme. He was excellent. Really, really great. And I think, you know, the Wes Anderson aesthetic can be hit or miss for me. I love Fantastic Mr. Fox. I love the Royal Tenenbaums. I like a lot of his things. But this really engaged me, and I just kind of forgot all about the world the whole time I was watching it. You know, forgot about the runtime and just engaged in this story of this, you know, scoundrel who's basically on the run for his life. They keep trying to kill him, and he's having all these near-death experiences, and he's reconnecting with his daughter. It was very meaningful to me. I really liked it, and I think most people will. Finally, on Friday for Wildcard Friday, we did another YouTube channel. I covered That Surprise Witness. Last week, I covered another channel I love called The Mind Unveiled. Both That Surprise Witness and The Mind Unveiled have been providing really excellent, in-depth coverage of some of the more interesting things that have been coming out in the Epstein DOJ releases, looking at it much deeper in the case of The Mind Unveiled, cloning and RNA, the COVID vaccine. There's a lot of really interesting subjects that come up in these emails that paint a disturbing picture. And then That Surprise Witness, she's a former lawyer. She's been she's like known for the Free Britney thing and trying to defend Bam Margera and some of these people because they've been taking their livelihoods, taking control of their lives away, and she doesn't think that's right. And I don't think it's right either. Really, really like that chick, BJ, who runs that channel. And from her lawyer perspective, she's been going through some of the various Epstein files and connecting some of the Epstein file stuff with some of the people who she's already been dealing with. This person is also connected to that person. You know who's also connected to that person? You know who also had something to do with that? You know who also was at that party? Basically, this lady spent like the better part of 10 years now digging deep in to court documents across many, many, many different celebrities and subjects. And she has already, over the years, made a lot of connections with same people who are involved in all these cases. And then just a couple steps further, you get into Epstein, connected to all these same things. So she's been really bringing a lot of illumination to some of these conversations. And I highly recommend her channel. I think she is a good heart, good soul, and that's why I like to enjoy her YouTube. You know, for me, about YouTube channels, it's always about finding people that I trust, that I think are good at their hearts, I think are sincere, I think believe in what they're doing. And both The Mind Unveiled and That Surprise Witness are two channels just like that. So I highly recommend them. And if you go over to their channel, comment on their page, "The coolest man alive sent me." So if you don't listen to my Esoteric Wisdom show every Sunday, it's called Everything They Don't Want You to Know, and I am blowing minds, conspiracy talk. There's no such thing as conspiracy anymore after the fucking DOJ Epstein situation. It's ridiculous. I want to retire that term. But if you don't listen to that show every Sunday, it's amazing. The first 12 episodes or so are all about universal law, hermetic principles. If you want to learn about some of the basic rules, energetic rules of the universe, and there are some. You need to check out some of our early episodes, and then you can just go through and cherry pick all the spicy topics that we get into as the show goes on. We're at like 60, 70 episodes of the show now, and a lot of great stuff to get into. And same thing with All Your Favorite Bands Suck, which is my new, well, not new, it's my old music show, where I've now gone monthly. My last episode was Grandson. We've got some more coming. Grandson's one of my favorite modern artists. He kills. And then there's 55 or something like that, other bands that I have covered that are favorite bands of mine. And this show is just me gushing about their music and playing you clips and, telling you where to start and giving you just a little guidance about like how to get into this band. If that sounds good to you, if you want to get into some new bands, go check it out. There's tons of genres, tons of variation amongst the recommendations that I'm giving, and a lot of great humor bands. If you're into funny bands, I love bands that make me laugh, and there's a lot of great ones. Okay. JBS at blacklightdistrict.studio is my email if you ever need to get a hold of me or get a hold of the show for whatever reason, want to advertise, whatever. And blacklightdistrict.studio is my boutique music and comic book company. We make awesome, groundbreaking comic books and eye-opening tracks, music, healing frequency music, and all sorts of cool shit. And it's all available for free at blacklightdistrict.studio. So visit and check it out. Read the comics. Fucking for Our Future #1's up there. King of Kings #1. The Blacklight District Studios original comic that we put out through Image Comics with the music and the comics, that's available. Everything that we've ever done is up there. And Mythic Legions by Greg Weisman, who created Gargoyles and Young Justice. He's brilliant. We brought him in to do the Mythic Legions comic book. I just produced that. Sometimes I just produce things, and other times I'm working on them more directly. All right, so let's get into one battle after another. And I mean, it's funny, some of this will be repetition from when I talked about one battle after another at the time. Me and my oldest son went to go see one battle after another, not knowing how creepy, sexually disturbing it was going to be. This movie it's very strange. It's very strange. And look, these framing binaries of left and right, like, I don't subscribe. I am not a left or right. I am a center. I see what everybody's saying on the left. I see what everybody's saying on the right. I'd like us to all be able to try to figure this shit out together, right? But at a glance, what you're looking at here is a film being made by leftists that is meant to be a sort of leftist political rally cry. A film that certainly doesn't frame the ICE officers and the system that would be deporting illegal immigrants in any sort of nice light. And at the same time, they don't portray the left in a nice light. But worse than that, the right is only barely being, made fun of or hurt at all. Like, the framework of the movie is that these people are fighting against the system that is doing this thing. And the system's coming after them, but the system is sort of just the system. The system is what it is. Within the context of that, there's a general played by Sean Penn who's obsessed with this black freedom fighter chick. And he's like the greatest. We got the right. We got them. That they're owning the right by having this white general be obsessed with an exotic looking black woman that he just must have. But meanwhile, this character, this right guy, he bangs the black woman because she's only in this whole freedom fighting thing for excitement and thrills. She is not a good person. He has sex with her. He knocks her up. When the whole premise of the movie is about Leonardo DiCaprio and her relationship, and about the kid later that he's raising that he had with her. He thinks he had with her. It's not his kid. So they barely give any pressure or bad look to the right, except to say that this right-leaning army general is obsessed with this black chick, and he bangs her and is virile and has a baby with her. What are we saying there? He cucks the dude on the left. Like, get this, right? The lefties are telling us that the guys on the right, they can fuck. The guys on the right are the one who ends up owning the baby in the belly of the black leftist chick. Just think about that, okay? You have to think about all writing as messaging, because it is. That is the core message. The core message is this bad guy on the right ends up cucking this leftist man who ends up raising another man's child after this woman has double-crossed him, left him in the lurch, and left him with a baby that isn't even his. That is what the heroes of the left do, according to this film. According to this film, the heroes of the right just do their jobs but are secretly obsessed with women who might be on the left. And the ones on the left are fighting this system not because of altruism. You have to understand, this movie does not spend any amount of time giving us a moral reason why we should save these illegal immigrants. It literally displays a group of chaotic people led by this black lady and Leonardo DiCaprio in tow, who says within the first 5-10 minutes of the movie that he is there because he loves black women. I shit you not. An early piece of dialogue in the movie is him outright stating, I am here because this is where there are black women, and I love black women. That is his motivation. This man is a depressed, nihilist asshole who makes bombs, who's not doing anything to serve society in any way, shape, or form except taking care of his child, which is not even his child. The leader, the black woman that everybody is obsessed with, who is fetishized. Again, what is this saying? She's fetishized by Leonardo DiCaprio, who loves black women but doesn't get to knock her up, and Sean Penn's military character, who she goes in, is threatening with a gun while they're like in the beginning of the movie. They're freeing some illegal immigrants from this what do you call it, facility, and she goes like upstairs into the office of like the general guy, and she fucks with him in this very erotic, weird way, and he's like all turned on, and ultimately this turns into them having some sort of creepy, weird romantic affair. Why is this lady doing that? Because she's a fucking lunatic. She is a thrill-seeking lunatic. She is not a good guy. She is not a moral compass, an arbiter of morality in any way, shape, or form. According to this film, that doesn't exist. According to this film, you have two groups of people. You have the people who are going along doing it the way the system has traditionally done it, and then you have another group who are just so fucking self-obsessed and looking for freaking thrills wherever they can find them that they're going around doing crazy things so they can fuck black women and they can put guns in people's faces and they can feel a little bit of life in their body for just a second. That is the motivation of the fucking assholes on display in this movie. It's crazy. This film is so morally corrupt. It is bizarre. It is not saying anything good about society in any way. And what it is saying bad about society are not the typical things that we say about society. It's actually admitting all of these terrible truths. Why don't we have protests all across America right now for Jeffrey Epstein and all of the babies and women who have been raped and trafficked? Because there is no money in it. All of these protests that you have been seeing on the news, these people are being paid. And if you don't believe that there is more interest in fucking protesting for babies and women being raped and hurt than there is for some fucking stupid immigration policy or whatever other fucking bullshit, and I'm calling it stupid because this absolute idea of naive idea that everything can just be open when we live in a world that is clearly a fucking complex operation being governed by various 3-letter agencies. I don't know about you, but I don't fucking feel great about all of these government agencies from Russia and Japan and China, all these, just being able to send anybody they want through our borders at any time and we don't get a look at them. I'm sorry, in this day and age, I would rather us get safe here. I would rather us figure out a way to get safe and get stable and get things going correctly here where there was less political subterfuge and things going on in our country. Stabilize this place for a moment. What do you say when you're on an airplane? You put on your mask first before you put on your child's. If you try to put on your child's mask before your mask's on, you might pass out trying to save the world. That is stupid, foolish. I don't care how big your bleeding heart is. Let's not be stupid and foolish in the way we go about making the world a better place. Let's be wise about this. There is a balanced middle answer, always. And many, many, many legal immigrants in this country feel the exact same way. We can't just go 0 to 60 on every issue. It can't be the 104 against the 100 against. We got to be talking to the people in the middle like me. The people who are like, hey, okay, calm down over there, calm down over there. Let's see what we can do in the middle. And if you don't think that the people in the middle are who you have to listen to, you're out of your mind. You're out of your minds. You are a detriment to the world. You are a self-righteous asshole who is believing all of the self-righteous assholes around you who are mostly saying the things they're saying so they can have position in society. I'm saying what I'm saying because I want society to not collapse. Because I want us to come together. I want things to be better tomorrow. And what is being said in this one battle after another about the true motivations of these people? You know, like a lot of the establishment Republican is like, we've been doing it this way for whatever, and I don't want to do it different. Yeah, and that is on display in this film. That's true. And unfortunately, these crazy freedom fighters who are getting paid by the George Soroses of the world, who need money, have nothing else going on in their fucking life, have a cursory understanding of the political situation, whatever else, and want to go out into the world and make it more violent and more whatever because they ultimately don't respect America, don't respect the ideas that it's founded on. I mean, I don't respect America in execution, but the idea about America, the idea that we could be good guys, the idea that religious freedom could be had and financial freedom could be had and that we wouldn't have to live under... These are all good ideas. Let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater. The baby is all the good ideas that America represents. The bathwater is all the shit that's been done in our name and all the shit that's been done that goes against that. Just because America looks like a hypocrite if it was a person doesn't mean it is, because it's not a person. It's multiple people. Some people in America are hypocrites. There are other people like me who go, I really love the American ideal. I hope we could turn this into something that could be wonderful for everybody, maybe. You know, the idea of spreading democracy around the world, that came from that idea of the basic ideas that we got here are not bad. And they aren't. The basic ideas we have here are great. It's just not being executed the way they tell us it's supposed to be, you know? So really looking at that, like the Republican thing is understandable. I know that for you guys who are more left-leaning, and I was more left-leaning my whole life, so I know this position because this is the position I was always in myself, was like, we can't just rest on our laurels. Doing things the way that we've been doing them is made it like this. Look, it sucks. Like this could be way better. Everybody's like fucking suffering. Everybody's in poverty. Like, we got to make some change to move forward. The problem is the people who are in control of the system and the changes as they're being implemented, those people are already bought. They're already controlled by the globalists. So any change that gets made ultimately gets moved in their direction. So the more government involvement, the deeper we get into this quagmire of dealing with rich, powerful interests and them not exactly really wanting any of our problems to resolve. They don't want any of the problems to really change. So nothing does, because it's not in their interest for things to progress. And even this, this bit in this movie, just of... the person's caught. She gets caught early in the movie, and then she rats out her entire cell, all the people that she knows in her cell. Leonardo DiCaprio, they're trying to get him and whatnot because she ratted him out. Not only did she cuck him, have a baby with somebody else, make him raise a baby that wasn't his own, she had no moral scruple whatsoever. She did not protect her people at all. She gave them up at the first sign of trouble. This is not about altruism. The left's crusade is not about altruism. It's a bunch of people who have been driven crazy by the media that's owned by the global elites. We got to do something. We got to change something. People who are so crazy and so panicked that they just want a reset. They just want to change. But they don't realize that what happens is when there's a reset, when there's a change like that, when there's a revolution, the revolutionaries don't rush in and take control. The people who are best prepared to take control during a revolution, they run in and take control. And those people would be the globalists. All of the independent lesbians and independent trans and all the independent black women and all of the independent Hispanic ladies and all of the independent, super hard left liberal, all the virtue signaling white people who want to be on the right side of history. I understand. I was once one of you. We are just being dragged. They're just using our momentum. Nothing is actually improving. And you may say, Jesse, thinking like this, like well, what do we do? Is it like, aren't we do something? We create new systems. Yeah, don't fight. Like, don't waste your energy in these fights. They're literally designed to waste your energy. All of the news cycle, everything is designed to waste your energy. What do? You build new systems. You open up that restaurant that's doing the vegan food, or that lets the dogs in. You start that business that has that mind. Aaron Sparrow and I'm a balanced person here. Aaron is a balanced person. Aaron comes off to a lot of people on the internet as Republican. The way the conversation has become, it's become myopic. Like he's some sort of Republican. I couldn't be further from the truth. My company, Blacklight District Studio, we have a very diverse crop of people who we work with on our comic books. Like you wouldn't believe how diverse the group is. The most diverse group of people that I have worked with in entertainment has been working with Aaron and the people that he would generally bring in, from Erica Tariquez, who was one of our designers, Andrew Dahlhaus, who's one of our favorite colorists. So many of the female writers and artists that Aaron has brought in, because Aaron, he's kind of tends to sort of like gives women more respect than men in general, and he's not like prejudice. He's not a gatekeeper, So like if there's a woman or anybody, kid who's interested in comics and they're coming to it earnestly, and I do this as well. The two of us, are both like this. Whenever we would meet new people in the business, whoever they are, we're colorblind. Sometimes it's a white person, but who gives a shit? Anybody who is passionate and into the subject, we were always opening doors for people. And I guess to some degree, because Aaron was more open to all walk of life. Like I would say, not that I'm like prejudiced, but I would say sometimes I might feel like standoffish if I felt like there might be a language barrier, or, if I thought maybe I wasn't the right person to approach this person or something like that. And Aaron just really, he always is just so inviting and so like wonderful that, holy shit, man, he's just surrounded by all of the people that the super far left people who were into the comic book conversation would want to see being hired. He was hiring all those people. At the same time, there was like people trying to shut him down and cancel him because he was saying things that were flying in the face of the decided opinion of the extreme left within the comic book world. And there was a moment where they were literally trying to find out, has he raped anybody? Has he sexually assaulted anybody? Is there anybody who might say? And then they were going to come out and they didn't know for sure, but they were trying. There were some people who were claiming that he was this negative account that was on, well, it was a very funny account. It was called Bizarro Stan Lee. But Bizarro Stan Lee would often have insider information. And there was some insider information that basically came from Aaron venting about this thing to various people, and one of those people happened to be Bizarro Stan Lee or Bizarro Stan Lee's friend or whatever, and this information came out through Bizarro Stan Lee, and then they were like, aha, Bizarro Stan Lee is Aaron. That wasn't true. But they were looking for any reason to cancel him because he was not spouting their political beliefs. Not because he was actually a racist, an anything. He hires more women than anybody I know. He hires more minorities than anybody I know. I mean, it's just like insane to say these things about Aaron Sparrow. And similarly, never had a problem in my entire life. You know, like I grew up so fucking colorblind because there was people of all walks of life within my vicinity since a very young age. You know, from like Vic, my dad's bodyguard who was black, and you know, and Eddie Ojeda, who's a member of Twisted Sister, who's Hispanic, and you know, like I grew up in an environment where I was just surrounded by lots of different types of people, and it was really like in school where I was taught that there was problems between the various types of people, and I was like, really? You know, like there's no problems within the types of people where I live. You know, like where I'm from, everything's great. Like we have a great time. You know, and I love that diversity of life, and it's just so wonderful. I don't understand. So I had to like come to understand different things, systemic things, whatnot. And when I found out about these things, you know, persecution of the gays, persecution of the Native Americans, persecution of blacks, I was like, what the fuck? Fuck this. You know, this isn't America. This isn't how it's supposed to be. And I became one of those very loudmouth virtue signaling guys before there was anybody opening their mouth and talking about this. I'm 43 years old. So, you know, I was a good 10, 15 years ahead of this, you know, virtue signal online movement. And when this movement started to take place, I stopped. Because I recognized that very quickly it was not about altruism. It was about signaling your virtue to the people in your sphere. And that wasn't why I was doing it. I was legitimately trying to raise awareness. I wasn't trying to tell people how good I was. I was trying to go, yo, this isn't good. Oh, you know, like people have learned that like if I can point out what isn't good, it'll make me look good. That was not my goal. My goal was this isn't good. We should talk about this. People should know what's going on here. Most people don't know. Let's raise awareness. Let's change this. But that altruism has faded away. And instead, we've got like this crazy posturing thing. And at the tippy top of the scale, the people wiling out and trashing these cities, they are this fucking thrill-seeking black woman and her cucked, bomb-building, fucking anxiety-driven, good-for-nothing ex-boyfriend, Leonardo DiCaprio. These are the heroes of the left. They are revealing it to you in this movie. And it is the reason why I said it was going to win an Oscar. Because this movie is propaganda. This movie is them showing you exactly what's really going on through a lens of entertainment and storytelling. You know, after this movie had come out for like 2 weeks later, Leonardo DiCaprio was like, oh, well, it's meant to be a comedy. It is a disgusting comedy. Fucking disgusting. The basic premise of the 20 minutes of this thing starts. You don't want to finish the film because you don't care what happens to any of the people in the film. That is how successful they have been at dehumanizing the extreme left within this film. This movie is ultimately made by leftist filmmakers, and it paints the worst possible picture of leftist freedom fighters. I'll let you think about that for a second. Made by the leftist entertainment apparatus by leftist filmmakers to shove in your face what the leftist extremists are really like. This movie basically says nothing bad about the Republican, the right side of things, other than they're secretly fucking all horny for these sexy black women, which is such a fucking weirdo. just way to fetishize other races. Like, aren't we supposed to be not doing that? Isn't this one of the things that we talk about on the left? Things that have to go? Fetishization, weirdness, weird sexual behaviors in public, making other people feel uncomfortable, not getting fucking permission. Like, this is nuts. The only thing they're saying about the right-leaning person who's not even necessarily extreme, he's just in the system, working within the system, that he wants a black woman. Obviously, the whole thing is framed as like they're the bad guys, except the movie doesn't frame them out as bad guys in any way, shape, or form. You can't really point to anything that is particularly bad. You can't find a person on the right side of this evil thing doing something that isn't just the thing that they're supposed to do, just them following the rules on one level or another. There's really nothing extreme going on other than they're going with the system as it is. And these other people are fighting the system with no plan or change or any long-term goal. Just blow things up and make out and have sex and be exciting and woohoo! Adrenaline. So the question becomes, why? Why would they do that, Jesse? You're not going to believe me. I struggle to believe it myself. But I've seen it enough that I was able to predict the possibility a few months ago. And now what I predicted has come true. One battle after another has won Best Picture. How does a film that is so morally confused, if not morally corrupt, how is this nominated for an Oscar? I mean, sure, strong black woman, but she's a heel. She's the worst. She sucks. She's a bad mother. She's a bad spouse. She's a bad hero. She's not doing any of the things that she's doing to be heroic. Why would they show us this? Why would they want this to be waved in our faces? Well, because essentially the Oscars and the film, the entertainment industry, it is a propaganda arm for the CIA and other government controls. The majority of the films that have won Oscars throughout the years, especially ones that are highly decorated, they are stating the official narrative of history or adding detail, filling in color, framing out even more the official stories of history. History is written by the victors. History is written by the people who win the wars. That means we are not getting truth. We are getting whatever the winners decide to tell us. That might be their version of the truth, or it could be literally whatever they fucking want it to be. In America alone, the Freemasons are all over the ancient civilizations, all over the ancient cities, towns. If you go across the country, see Freemasonry, the oldest fucking tombstones, these Freemasons and Freemason shit all over their things. The American continent was stolen from many other cultures that lived here, not just the Native Americans. There were cities built, and basically every major city in America used to be a city. It has been covered up through mud floods or burnt down through fires. There is a city. There are buildings that we claim to have built, that Freemasons claim to have built. We did not build them. We found them. They're called the Freemasons because they have found free masonry. Hey, look, it's a building that is uninhabited. Free masonry. The Freemasons took over the free buildings. And they rewrote our history, hid away the people who had actually built those buildings, and they took over. And we were taught a new history about how this whole thing came about. The history of America is bullshit. So, when you go back in time and you go into various wars and you go into various moments within the history of America, every piece of historical fiction that is written, that is turned into a film or whatever else, it is an effort to obscure the truth of the history and bring the fake history that they want us to believe into alignment with the story they've been telling us. It's all false. If you go back and you start really reading books and checking out parts of books that have been adapted into films and see what they omitted. What did they omit from the adaptation from documentary to film? From adaptation of book to documentary? The things that are in the books, the people in control of this system, by the time they get to documentary or they get to film, they have made sure that the things that would disrupt the system have been removed. Every single war we have ever had, everything we know about it is propaganda. Everything we know about World War II was designed. This isn't to say everything we know about World War II isn't true. Often lies are mixed with truth so that they can be more easily propagated. But everything we know about every war is all propaganda. They're the things that have been told to us. Outside of, if you're reading whistleblower books and things like that, reading direct stories from soldiers, those things are most likely true. Granted, it's their word to the story. Sometimes you can get a story corroborated by multiple people, but oftentimes it's just their word against whatever. So you can get individuals. But when it becomes the narrative, the story that is taught in the history books, that is written to suit the ruling class. That is written to suit the narrative of the nation. And every movie, every fucking Holocaust movie, every World War I movie is there to paint the full fictional picture of what they claim was going on during that war, to support the official narrative that has been given to us. Most of the Oscar films that you will see on the list of, like, things that have been propped up in this way, they are of that kind of film. The Schindler's List, or just there's so many over the years. They're all propaganda films. The Gangs of New York, casually admits all of the freaking blacks who were in New York at that time, and the black gangs. There's a lot of rewriting, casual rewriting of history that goes on in these movies. And they'll go, oh, we just didn't have time to include that. No, you didn't want to frame it the way it actually was. You wanted to frame it in a false way that would lead people to think that the founding fathers of America were all white, which was not true. And isn't that a convenient thing? Isn't that a convenient thing to tell all the founding fathers were white men who came and stole the country from the... Yeah. If it facilitates men and women fighting, whites and minorities fighting, straights and gays fighting, you hating other countries, this is everything. This is what they want. A divided population is easy to control. A united population is not easy to control. So what are we talking about there? We're talking about legit propaganda. That's part of the thing. Then you have the films that talk about sort of like societal issues, but like presenting them right in front of your face and like, look at how terrible this is, but nothing's being done about it. The right things are never going to be done about it. And this is just one of those terrible situations that happen in life because of humans and human nature. And we're so weak, falling to drugs, falling to this, falling to that. People can go crazy. People can, all the things that psychologically send a message to humanity that they're weak and they can't fucking handle existence. Boom. That is the type of programming that we want. But then there's a third tier. And I would argue that One Battle After Another and this movie, The Wizard of Oz, are in some similar company. There are movies that are very symbolic. And this isn't symbolic in the same way as Wizard of Oz, because Wizard of Oz is all sorts of Gnostic allegory, masonry allegory, like all this leaving your world, leaving your body, going to a new place. Like professors could break this shit down to you about some of the psychological craziness that's going on in a film like, Wizard of Oz. There is just subtle things that you are being presented with, frameworks of reality and metaphoric ideas that ultimately are poison, are darkness, are the hands of the machine, the smartest people within the machine, making things to sort of fuck with your mind conceptually. And baked into the concepts of the Tin Man who needs the heart, and the Scarecrow who doesn't have a brain, and like you could go and watch hours of videos breaking down what is really going on here in a film like that. Well, similarly, but a little bit more on the nose, is a One Battle After Another, which is giving you the truth right in your face, disguised as a comedy movie starring Leonardo DiCaprio, where he's a dad and he's got this daughter and he's trying to not get in jail. But there's nothing funny about it all when it's looked at fundamentally. None of this is funny. This is all tragic and awful. Is this the reality? Yes, they are presenting us with a reality. Like, isn't this funny? How all these altruists, all these people that we've convinced are altruists, are actually just acting like assholes. And these other people, their only fucking crime is basically operating like sheep and doing the same thing that they've always been doing. Both of those are wrong ideas. We need new ideas. We need wake up the sheep, and we need redirect the fucking crazy anarchists to something more useful. Because all the crazy anarchists are ready to fucking blow up the whole world to get the sheep. The sheep aren't fucking evil. They're just not in the same place you are. You loop back around, come a little bit closer to them, and we can find some middle ground. This movie is waving in our face the actual reality that we are in, the quagmire we are in. Heroes being turned into villains. The people that they call villains not being as villainous as they're painted. It just, none of it really makes any sense. It's really just nonsensical reality being put on display. And that's why it doesn't work. It doesn't work as a film. It's just like nothing about it really works because it's very unsatisfying. It's a bunch of unsatisfying truths that nobody really wants to support ultimately, even though it's kind of at a glance, it's in this framework that we should, right? We should be supported, right? If I'm liberal, I should be wanting to support these people. Why do these people suck so bad? I don't want to support people like this. Those are my heroes? Why would they give us heroes like that? Why would a left-leaning filmmaker making something, that is in this subject matter, why would he choose to make what's supposed to be the heroic faction of this film, why would he choose to make them so terrible? The unfortunate answer for me, And I say this as somebody who was invited to join the Illuminati and the Freemasons multiple times while I was living in California. He's illuminated. He is one of these secret society members. I don't know if he was assigned this film or if he realizes what gets rewarded and awarded in Hollywood. So he made this film to get an award because he knew that if he was properly waving in our face some of the stupid quagmire situation that we're actually in, that is the type of thing that the Oscars, who are filled with illuminated assholes, want to see. Essentially, they award movies of people who are piercing the veil or helping to lie. So either here's the lie on display or here is the truth on display, and we're going to pretend like it's a lie. Hollywood, the Oscars, all of it. It is here to confuse us. It's here to make us go absolutely nuts. So that's all I wanted to talk about that. I'm actually really glad that I was able to talk about it at greater length than I thought to. I shouldn't have worried about it. But since I said I would, I wanted to really, the other thing I wanted to talk about was the new Spider-Man trailer, which I thought was great. Going back to good old Aaron Sparrow, Aaron's a little older than me. And he's definitely gotten more fed up with a lot of just, versions of the thing that he and I love and grew up loving, where they're just not exactly giving us the thing that we want. It's not quite the thing that we want, and the execution of it on this level or that level is just kind of betraying the version of it that we fell in love with so long ago. And while I appreciate where Aaron's coming from, I don't agree with him in this instance with this Spider-Man trailer. There's a couple just like subtle things of like, he doesn't really like MJ or Ned. He's like, I never need to see them again. And that's fine. I was feeling like some emotional heartstrings and stuff from the trailer. But oh boy, if you haven't watched the new Spider-Man trailer, I think it's called Brand New Day. It is great. There's so many villains. Scorpion shows up. Tarantula shows up. Some great interactions with the fucking Punisher. You don't see the Hulk yet, but you got Bruce Banner showing up. I'm trying to think of some of the other people. Because there's more ninjas. I mean, there's really just a ton of great scenes in the trailer. It really looked like there was just so much going on. And honestly, that's what I want from my Spider-Man comic books and my Spider-Man stories. He has such an amazing mythology. There's so many great villains. It's like to get one villain every Spider-Man movie just for me was just not enough. I want to see the Sinister Six. I want to see him dealing with various little crimes and this bad guy's there or that bad guy's there. I want them to go into that world and bring that shit to life the way I experienced it, which is just, reading monthly comics, and it's like every fucking month there's a new villain of the week. There's a new villain. There's a new villain. There's a new villain. And this feels like that. It also feels a lot more street level, which, oh man, the greatest thing that the Marvel Cinematic Universe could have done for itself at the time after Infinity War and Endgame was to go street level. If that Shang-Chi film had been a badass karate movie and not some Magoo dragon magic movie, like, oh my God, Shang-Chi would have been a huge hit if they'd made a low-budget killer actioner like fucking John Wick or something like that. That would have been amazing. Bring it to the streets. But instead, they went big, and everything's big, 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 big. It needs to get back to small. And this Spider-Man movie seems like a return to the small, and I just love that. Love that, love that, love that. And, I'm hoping that we're going to even get more villains and more cameos and stuff because, honestly, I know how good that can be when it's done right. Do I think it's going to be done right here? No, not necessarily. But a lot of things thrown at the screen, a lot of things thrown at the movie. I guarantee you, I'm going to leave satisfied about something. As long as I can leave that movie feeling great about something, I'm going to be a happy person. And I really think based on the trailer, we're getting there. We are totally, getting somewhere better, at least than we've been for a very long time. So I'm excited. I'm really excited from that trailer. And, I liked the last Mortal Kombat that they did enough to be excited for this new one. I really like Carl Urban, and that's another one of these trailers that has just come out recently. If you haven't seen that, it looks really great. I'm hoping that it's going to be fucking awesome, man. Anyway, I've covered enough for today, I think. I love you so much. Thank you so much for listening to the show. Thank you so much for listening to the end of the show. You guys are my best listeners. You can email me always at jbs@blacklightdistrict.studio. And I hope you will join me again this week for another full, awesome week of recommendations on The Coolest Alive. Love you guys. See you next time. You've been listening to Coolest Alive with me, your host, Jesse Blaze Snider. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe for more excellent entertainment recommendations. Thanks for listening.
It's gonna be fucking awesome. Come on, it's gonna be fucking awesome. You know the words. It's gonna be fucking awesome. That's it, see. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Yeah! It's my favorite part! Isn't it heavy? I played that! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Coolest alive! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Stay with your tribe! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Revenge of the Geeks! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Week after weeks! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Laughing with you! It's gonna be fucking awesome! And crying sometimes too! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Spelling it out! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Making you shout! I'm a genius! I've got lyrics coming out me bum for days! You like that? It's a kazoo solo! I played that too! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Talking some shit! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Living your shit! My voice is fucking awesome! Food in our mouth! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Get in the mouth! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Tell all your friends! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Call right or text! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Raising the bar! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Straight to the stars! It's gonna be fucking awesome! It's starting soon! Straight to the top of the awesome! Passing the moon! It's gonna be fucking awesome! On with the show! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Ready, set, go! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Fucking awesome! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Just wait! You'll see! You'll all see!
You'll all see.